All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for being patient. We had 2 sets of minutes to read through before we got started here. So first order of business, let's look at the July 31st minutes.
I did have a couple of things, just give me a second.
Yep.
Line 31. All right. Line 32.
Mhm.
Drive-bys.
Oh, yeah.
Autocorrect is a wonderful thing. It just buys is spelled wrong.
Yeah.
And then line 52. Why does it sound to me? And wishes to modify the covenants and restrictions applicable to lots 1, 3, and 6. What about the rest of them? I know.
Well, the way that the attorney looked at that is we can change the ones to the lots that haven't been sold. It's the ones that are owned by other people
Yeah.
right now.
That we need to have this for. I got you.
Correct.
Okay, all right, that makes sense to me then. Okay, that's all I had.
Anything?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of July 31 as amended.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Is this the one? No. And we have non-public meeting minutes from that meeting as well. And I will make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes as presented.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we have the August 14th minutes.
I didn't have anything on those.
I didn't have anything on those.
I'll make a motion to approve that's distributed.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. We also have non-public minutes from that day, and I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next thing on the agenda is a discussion with Longfellow Construction about the Rapids project. And they actually came and did talk to the planning board. Well, they were at a meeting with something else, but they talked to the planning board about that project. They're not asking for anything specific right now, it's just conceptual, and I guess they're not coming before this board to talk about it tonight.
No, they asked if they could come at a September meeting. They asked for to be pushed back for unbooked meetings.
So we'll skip over that. The next item is the industrial business park. At our last meeting, we had an official public hearing related to changing the covenants on the parcels at the business park. We did not take a final vote. One of the owners, Mike Donahue, weighed in and agreed with everything we wanted to do. The other owner, Sullivan, was waiting to get word back from his attorney, hadn't received it yet, and we said, well, we'll certainly just wait. There's no rush to do it. Have we heard anything back from Mr. Sullivan?
I have not.
Jack, I know you were in touch.
I actually called them today and I have not heard that.
Okay. Then,
It was vacation schedules that were in the way, so.
with his attorney and then him, yeah.
I am okay with waiting till the next meeting to.
Yeah, we've been living under these same rules now for 20 years. We don't need to change them tonight.
No, and it's,
And
no,
he owns a lot. I want to just wait until we get his.
agreed,
So we're gonna pass over that also.
and put it on next meeting's agenda.
Yeah,
So the 13th, I think, is the next meeting.
yeah.
The 11th. Yeah, the 11th, September 11th.
Okay. So let's move on to the town manager report.
Things are moving pretty quick today. So we were notified last week that the NEPA review process is complete and the Forest Service has given verbal approval, final approval for the South Peak Water Tank project. Which is great news, and pretty much on schedule. We were hoping it was gonna be done by the end of the summer, so things did move as we had hoped. So let's. Next up, Sam from Weston and Sampson said the next step is that we should probably receive some formal paperwork here within the next week or so, a couple weeks. He was thinking maybe we'd have it by today, but I hadn't seen it in today's mail. To actually formalize things and get it in writing. The next step is Weston and Sampson are coordinating with the Forest Service to conduct a geotechnical investigation using the $50,000 that we received from DES for the planning grant. This is a necessary for the design of the water tank, as it will it helps with the tank foundation design. And is also like a clear deliverable for DES, which they like on their end, because we have one project, we'll be able to complete it. We'll take most of the grant funds to do so. And then we can get that ball rolling. Longfellow or South Peak, they are aware. We let Scott know last week, so he is on board as well. So he knows things are moving, and good news.
And with that approval, was there any discussion about a change in the location from the original application? Because I know they were looking at possibly moving it.
Yes, so we, as part of the, I guess, revisiting, they did move it to that flatter plateau. That part was resurveyed, and that is going to be the position or the
And that's
location.
higher up because of the.
A little bit higher up, and it's more towards the east, yeah, and a little bit towards the east. It creates a better platform for them.
Yes.
Have we notified the homeowners association or Blue Mountain? Are they aware of what's going on over there? I know I've had a couple of homeowners stop me, different events, so, and ask about it.
We haven't done like a formal notification process to the homeowners. I do believe Loon is aware of the location change because they were in the original meetings with the Foresters. So I think Brian is aware of, what they were originally.
And that new location, there may be a slight elevation difference. I don't even know if it's higher or lower, but it was the topography difference that made the difference to the Forest Service, and it didn't make a difference to the water pressure or the size of the tank.
No, I think they thought that less land was going to be disturbed in the new location because the grade was more compatible to putting a tank on it. Right. So good news.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Quick short-term rental update. For those of you that are on the planning board or watch the planning board meeting, you've already heard these numbers, but we currently have 415 registered short-term rentals. 711 units have been identified. However, that number includes all the motels, hotels, timeshares, cabin rentals, anything that uses those short-term rental platforms, Airbnbs, VRBOs to advertise. So we think we have a pretty good number at that 415. We still might be missing, a few that sneak by us, but we are getting registrations every week now with that new, with the new software we've been using.
Right.
So we've made our money back and then a little bit more. So
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Would this be a good time to interject on the planning board? I know it's not part of your report, but I was at the planning board meeting last Wednesday night, and the issue of short-term rentals was brought up. The planning board is looking at various ideas or just proposals, concepts as far as changing the ordinance. We also talked about like adding a definition and doing some changes. But anyway, one of the things that was brought up at the last meeting was to introduce a change to the ordinance that further regulated short-term rentals beyond just the registration process that we have now. and specifically, the biggest thing it would do is, not allow them in the general residential, rural residential, and village residential zones. But would allow them in the general use zone, the village center, and the mountain residential zone. Which is, well, general uses all up and down Route 3. And then village center is basically Main Street and one lot back. And of course, mountain residential is at the base of Little. So that'd be the only places where you could have Airbnbs.
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals. You know, Maple Street, School Street, Franklin Street, that. Once you get one block, one lot back from Main Street, they would not be allowed. The planning board voted to not even discuss it as a proposed ordinance, and I'm not gonna move forward with any action on that. Voting in the majority was Paul Bowden, Jim Spanos, and Joe Kennard as a majority, and so that has been killed by the planning board. They're not gonna do anything.
That blows my mind.
So I just wanted to report that.
Now,
That was-
can the selectmen do anything? We can't bring anything to town meeting for a vote. Or put anything on the warrant.
You
What
can't
about by petition?
by petition,
petition.
yes,
I don't think we can do it, just the three of us, but
you need the 25 voters.
registered
Yeah.
voters, can sign a petition, and that's,
And that would put it on the ballot.
Put it on.
well,
that.
no, that would actually put it in the whole process. Yes,
Yes.
but it would have to go and be heard before the planning board. They'd be
Yeah.
required to hold
Mhm,
one or two public hearings, I think one.
mhm.
And then if there's some substantial changes, but they can't change a petition
They
article.
can't change a petition,
change
they
it.
must.
I don't know if they need a second hearing, but anyway, they have to have a public
yeah.
hearing. They have to make a recommendation. And they can
To
recommend
support it or not,
after the public hearing,
Right.
they can decide to support it or
or
not.
not.
And then it has to go,
Either way, it has to go on the warrant.
has to go on the warrant.
And it would be on the warrant to vote during the day, correct, a ballot question.
Correct, it would be a zoning, it would
Correct.
be a zoning issue, so it would go on the ballot during the day.
Right.
So,
With the dire need for housing in this town, I can't understand why the planning board wouldn't. Even because they didn't want to talk about it at all.
nope,
I think their stance was the cat's kind of already out of the bag.
So let's not try to contain it.
So, you know,
Let's just let it run
one
free.
thing, I mean, some people, locals and non-locals, have invested money just as short, put them in as short-term rentals. So consequently, are we penalizing those people?
Currently registered, we
wait a minute.
couldn't.
let it-
No, yeah, if it's already in there, I mean, then those people are grandfathered in. So we couldn't, say you can't do it, but so-and-so can do it. I mean, the new people couldn't do it, but the old people,
Right,
the owners could. I mean, I can see this going the way that the issue went in Conway to a court battle. So, I mean, we should be careful about what we wish for, to make sure it's in compliance with the case that was already adjudicated at the Supreme Court level. So, that's all.
Yeah, and the planning board got some input from our attorney. On what needs to be done, like, first of all, creating a definition was like the first thing, that was Conway's problems.
They didn't have a definition.
They did not have a definition. That allowed them to regulate something that they didn't even define what it was. So that would be part of the petitioned article.
And what our attorney had said is that what Conway's major issue is that they were trying, well, not major, but one of the issues that they had was that they were trying to identify short-term rentals as a commercial use. And the judge had said that it's not the owner, it's the occupancy's use that defines a property, not the
Building,
owner.
Okay.
Right, so he said we couldn't say you're running a commercial business, you're running a commercial business, but we could then define which zones or which areas of town we did allow it, or we
Right.
didn't allow it, or they were allowed by a special exception or whatnot. We couldn't just say, you're running an Airbnb, that's a commercial property, you can't run commercial businesses in this area, so.
So anything that's currently registered as a short-term rental would be grandfathered, as long as they
Absolutely.
continue to register, they'd be grandfathered forever. So it wouldn't be those that have a substantial investment or short-term rental wouldn't be affected at all. It would be future short-term rentals.
And I just wanted to bring you up to date, I anticipate. I'm positive there will be a petition drawn up, that hopefully. Abides by the. Attorney's suggestion and would stand ground, and, we'll see. I'm guessing there'll be people who will be interested in signing that, so. Back to your town manager's report.
Thank you.
2023 estimated revenues in your packet, you'll see our first initial shot at our 2023 revenues. This year, with the proceeds from the bond, it definitely skews things significantly. So I did it without the bond and with the bond, just so we could have more of an apples to apples comparison. Without the $8.2 million in bonds, the difference is about 120,000. In the black for us, for the town, a $120,000 increase. That mainly comes from, if you'd like to know, payment in lieu of taxes. Our payment in lieu of taxes from the Forest Service went up this year and from what we had budgeted from last year. The short-term rentals, we had about $10,000 more in revenue this year than the short-term rentals last year. Our meals and room tax went up from the previous year. And that pretty much consists of the bulk of it. I mean, other than some small increases here and there.
Sure.
And so this is due to the state by Friday. If you want to review it and let me know if you see anything, we will have a chance to revise these once again at the tax rate setting time. This is more of just an estimate to start that ball rolling, but I think it's pretty solid. I went back to last year and the year before and kind of did a comparison, and it seems to make sense.
Good.
Just one thing that
Yes.
to point out of this, I didn't have this number last week when Paul brought up his point about. Fighting for the federal government to pay, or federal and state government to pay full tax rate on. You know, the White Mountain National Forest and all that. The payment in lieu of taxes, and I believe this is all federal, right? Or is part of that the state?
Well, it's state and federal lands, so it's anything that
Okay, so
it's both state and federal, yes.
All right, that totals $233,000. And instead of paying property tax, they're paying that.
Right. Last year we had budgeted 210, and this
210
year
was
it's the 233 is what we received to date, so
Right.
it's an accurate number.
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit, but it's gonna bring you back to where we are. So today was the deadline for a request for qualifications for the new police station. We received 5. Tomorrow, the PD and the architects and I are going to go through those requests and kind of make a short list of people we would like to solicit to bid on the project. In doing so, we're now kind of finalizing a couple of the steps and figuring out what's going to be in the bid and what's not going to be in the bid. And one of the things that we knew from the get-go that wasn't going to be included in the bid was the generator. That we were going to try to go for a grant for that. So I started investigating some grants that we could get for that. And I did the Homeland Security, or the Office of HSEM in the state. I can't remember the exact acronym, but yeah, the emergency management one. They have a 50-50 grant. Their max award for backup power to Municipal Emergency Service Operations Center is $75,000. So that would put us at the 150 mark, which I think is right where numbers would come in. So I've reached out to Powers Generator, Milton Cat, a couple of the bigger outfits in the States to get I don't want to say a hard quote, but something not as soft as what we have. So we are providing them information because one of the requirements is for an because it's over $50,000. So. that ball is rolling and hopefully we will have a generator grant to submit shortly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Freedom Energy proposal. So our contract with Freedom Energy and First Point Power ends this November. We have been with them for almost 4 years. And as we all know, how electricity prices have skyrocketed over the last 4 years. So we've gotten a really great deal over the last few years. They have quoted us out. They went out with 3 different companies. I think you have a copy of it in your packets. Oh, yeah. They went out and they quoted we got quotes from 3 different companies. We got First Point Power again, NG, Constellation, and Direct Energy has, they didn't want to quote us. So we went out to 4, but we only got 3 quotes back. Currently, New Hampshire Electric Co-op is, let's say, 14 cents, 13.7 cents per kilowatt hour. The quote we received, which from the lowest bidder, which is First Point Power, is 11 cents per kilowatt hour. So not as great of not as significant as a variation as the last contract, but still lower than what New Hampshire Electric Co-op is currently providing. Also, First Point Power is the only company that the co-op allows to do a consolidated billing on. So rather than receive a bill from the co-op and a bill from First Point Power, our bill from First Point is included in our co-op bill. So we're not doubling the amount of work for our finance director plugging in 60 electricity bills rather than 30 electricity bills. So with the board's approval, I think it would probably be best to continue on with First Point Power. And sign into another contract with them for either 12, 24, 36, 48 months.
They did stay consistently lower than the co-op rate
The whole time.
Years. Yep.
Absolutely, yes. And they're estimating that what we have saved over the last 4 years in contract with them is $162,000 in our electricity bill. So, I mean, that's significant amount of money.
What was our electric bill, over that period of time, or annualize it?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I mean, we spend a lot of money in electricity.
Right.
I don't know what our average annual cost is because it's broken down amongst all the departments, but I mean, I could easily get that number by.
No, I'm just curious to see what, I mean, if you save 162, what percentage of your total cost is it? They're up, like everybody else, I mean, they're up almost 50% on the 7 cents to 11 cents. So, it's close, but looking at it, I'd say maybe we go for the 4 years. I mean, and lock in a rate, then we know we can figure budgets based on that and what have you. So I would recommend that we go.
If we went with the 4, it's the 10.9. So I mean, that's
it's
a good rate.
That's a good rate. That's the best rate. Correct.
And I don't see the prices going down.
No.
They may stabilize for a while, but I don't see them going
I
down.
think that would be the only reason to not go with the 4-year rate, because if we thought
It was gonna go down.
it's gonna go down.
I think they may stabilize, but they're not.
And I think this is a stable number. The co-op was up into the 17, 18 cents per kilowatt hour last year when we first started getting into this process, when we started looking at things again. Earlier this year, they were higher than what they are now. I think this is stabilized.
Yeah. I said it's not gonna get lower than this.
I don't think so.
I'll make a motion then. We sign a contract.
48 months.
4 years at the 10.97 cents.
With First Point.
With First Point Power.
I'll second that.
About
Okay, motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, a couple of things that I didn't have on my town manager's report, but I did want to bring to the board's attention. The property up in Forest Ridge did sell at auction. I don't know if you heard. So there is a new owner. I was the homeowners association for the Pines reached out to me and they asked, well, what happens now with the road bond or the final coat of the top coat for the last section of roadway. I told him, to be honest, I didn't really know. I would have to consult our legal counsel and have him look at the road agreements and whatnot. He reached out to me and forwarded me an email between him and Mike Shepherd, Mike Shepherd, who is one of the attorneys or one of the partners in the previous ownership of Forest Ridge. And he had stated that the new builder will be responsible for the second coat on all roads and driveways within the Pines. And the homeowners association's request is that before a building permit is issued, that the town hold the bond from the builder with funds that will cover this work as originally stipulated for the first builder within the Pines. I told him that I would bring this to the Board of Selectmen. We have not been approached by the new owners. I believe only a purchase and sale has been signed at this point. There's been no formal deed transfer of the property. Mike had said that they have 30 days in order to do so. So that was August 14th. So we're coming up on that within the next, week or so here. But I thought I would bring it to the board's attention and get your thoughts.
I was the president of the homeowners association up there many years ago. And one of the things that we were dealing with back then with roads and with Bob Satter. And we the homeowners, I suggested, because of my previous experience, that they put a bond up, but the bond was in the name of the association, not in the name of the town. It's a private road, it's not a town road. Whether the town wants to, take a bond over a property that's not theirs. And then we've got an obligation to, make it right eventually. So consequently, I would suggest that, they issue the bond in the name of the association. If it's duly registered, which it was. So, because they've had a number of spin-offs over there with different
have,
developers. And some of the folks have gone belly up over there, as you know. Changed hands, so it's just a thought.
We're holding 2 road bonds over there, correct?
Yes,
One is for the Pines specifically, as part of that development.
correct.
The other bond, the much larger number bond, 100,000, I believe it was, is for the roads that you're talking about that are through the current association.
Mhm.
The town is holding that bond, right? Not,
Correct.
and it's in our name, not the homeowners.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I'm more concerned than I would assume the homeowners association is more concerned about that bond than the one inside the little pine circle.
Mhm.
Is
The 100,000,
Which one sold at auction? Because there's New Jefferson Holdings, there's
it's
the Pines, there's.
New Jefferson, so
Okay.
the New Jefferson properties sold.
Those are the ones.
So
that
those are the
bought.
2 empty foundations at the top of the Pines.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's a lot that's adjacent to them, or maybe as part of their common land for that.
I was gonna say, they have the big, New Jefferson Holding had the big common land green space that could be 11 acres or something up there that.
There is another public auction happening too for the Woodland Loop, which is not part of the Pines, it's part of I don't
Well,
know.
part of that's New Jefferson Holdings. Part of it is, what's the other contractor name there?
That Elliot's.
Mount Cliff Construction Properties,
there you go.
are the ones that sold. But New Jefferson's Holdings was their mortgage. Was
So the
there,
New Jefferson Holding properties didn't sell at auction, just
no, they,
Mount Coolidge Construction.
Mount Coolidge Construction.
Okay, so that's a very small piece.
It's the 2 foundations
Yeah.
at the top, and I
Okay.
believe, like I said, I believe it's the adjacent lot, or maybe it's the lot where the cul-de-sac where the road is, I'm not 100% sure, but I know for a fact it's the 2 empty foundations.
okay, so it's not for the whole,
It's not for the whole kit and caboodle, no.
which is for sale. I didn't know what was included in the auction.
That's the one coming up as Mount Coolidge Construction.
So that wasn't included. I mean, I'm confused as to what was sold.
Yeah, me too.
So
Just
there's two
this,
separate auctions going on up
so
there, right?
just this is the only one I can find from Mount Coolidge Construction, that's on Woodland Loop.
Those are the two, where the two foundations are?
No, that's the pines. That's the pines, and these are the two big units, that's the pines,
Okay,
Yes.
and these are probably the two foundations up in there, so.
see, this has no data,
That's also under construction.
and there's no data. And then this
There's also,
is
yeah, there's
the-
development rights to a 12-unit building,
The rest of that's New Jefferson.
but I believe that's Woodland Loop.
Woodland Terrace.
Well, the bonds were related to the construction of the Pines project.
Oh, now there's Newco. There's another.
Yeah, there's
okay,
another one,
Newco.
yeah.
I guess I'd be comfortable with finding out who owns what was sold. And I believe the bond is related just to the new the Pines.
So I have the copies of the bonds right here. One was for on-site road construction, which is the smaller one, which is just the loop, the top, right? And then we also have one for $100,000 that was for off-site road repair bond agreement. So that was for the big trucks, I think, coming in and damaging the other roads
Right.
within the development.
Right.
While construction was taking place. So one's 100,000, one's 10,000. And I believe the $10,000 one was higher at one point in time, but as the project was completed, it was based on a percentage of the completion cost, of the project. So at one point, it was much higher than what it is today.
It was 40.
I
And
think
now
you're
it's
right.
down in the 10 range.
Now it's at 10.
Yeah. And again, it's most of that's paved and. I'm not worried about that one. I'm worried about the 100,000 one because that road is a
Right.
mess.
And New Jefferson is the issuer or the principal on those. Not Mount Coolidge. They are the bank for that.
The balance of the land over there. Somebody told me it was asking the price of like $9 million or something.
Yeah.
A couple 100 acres over there,
Hundreds, yeah.
and what have. I don't know if that's got anything to do with this or not. It's a separate entity.
Can we inquire with New Jefferson as to their plans to repair the roads off-site of the Pines, through the rest of the Fourth Ridge? And,
Because those aren't completed either.
no, it's the road through the rest of Fourth Ridge leading to the Pines. It's the road between Route 112 and the Pines.
Right.
For the $100,000 bond, that they're a mess.
Okay.
Can we ask New Jefferson what their plans are for that, and do we need to call the bond to make something happen?
There's two parcels, 154 acres and 530 acres. Big ones.
How much is it, Tammy?
154 and 530 acres, and then another one that's.
That's up for
154
sale,
acres.
9 million.
I'm not sure which one, or if it's both, or I don't know.
There's definitely one that's for sale that we've gotten inquiries on in the planning department, which is, I think that's I thought it was 700 acres, but maybe it's.
Maybe that's.
Yeah, would be right.
Yeah, 724 or something, both parcels, that is being sold.
That is, it has to be green space, do you recall?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you got 700 acres and 200 has to stay green, you still got 500 to develop.
I believe that there's some question on whether that land is even developable, is that a word?
Oh, sure.
No,
Oh, sure.
Because of the geotechnical, the ledge and whatnot.
They have a building on Totem, Washington.
Yeah, that's true.
They could put anything anywhere.
the original permit that Sally had way back when was for 400 units total build out. That was, and I don't know what they've built over there now. When I left there was just 100 units built, and then they started the pines, the meadows, and woodland, and all that stuff.
No idea.
Yeah, it's very convoluted up there. It's very gray. It
Mhm.
seems like there's a lot of different owners and a lot of different LLCs and different associations and different banks essentially, you got the New Jefferson, you got the Newco, you got a couple of different entities that all seem to have their fingers kind of in things up there. So it's kind of hard to follow.
It is for them. Okay. You know, my position for the town is that that was a master plan development that was approved back in the eighties. With, it was for something unit, for something units, and there was a design for it, and there was hundreds of acres put into an easement. And it's recorded.
Right.
So if they start chopping these all up and there's different owners, you know.
Right.
I can't say, tell them what to do, but if I were there, I would want some sort of cross.
Right.
Title search or something. right?
Agreements
Yeah.
that say, okay, this, you know, right to develop 400 units, you know, can the first guy put all 400 on his piece of parcel and say that, you know, the rest of them is, we already reached the limit? I don't know what it is, but, you know,
Where do we stand with the retention pond?
That has been signed off on.
yeah.
And the
that's what we-
homeowner, oh, yep, that has been signed off on, and the homeowners have assumed the maintenance and upkeep of it in the future. And that has essentially been, if that issue has essentially been resolved. That happened in the spring, maybe, I wanna think, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but the planning board voted to release that. Those funds.
All right, can we reach out to New Jefferson and ask them what their plan is for the well, off-site
Offsite.
road improvements and, you know, we're holding a bond and we've been patient and the homeowners association has been patient. We just can't just stay like it is forever, so.
Okay. I will do so.
Anything else?
The only other thing I had, and I touched base with Tammy on this a little bit, I did also get another call from the owners of 93 Main Street, 93, 91 Main Street. Regarding a sewer line, I guess there was, oh, are they here?
Yeah.
There you go. You wanna speak?
What's going on?
Well, back in, well, we own a rental property, 93 Main Street. We live at 91 Main Street adjacent to the mobile station. And we've been having problems with our rental property, sewer backing up. And I've been putting like chemicals down and everything. But on the 6/12, we had Kevin Schofield come. He ran the jetty down there. Then he ran his camera. And come to find out that there's a great big, they call it a nest, root nest down the pipe. But he was able to get a hole through it to drain it. But before, when it backed up, it ruined the bathroom floor, so we had to replace that. And a couple other things. And so his recommendation was, have it dug up and everything. And replaced, it was only 20 feet out from the trailer. And so I went to I called Joe Bossy up and told him about it. Well, we got a school board meeting, I think a couple days, so. He got back to me probably 3 or 4 days later. He said, it's nothing the school can do, that was a town grant. That they went for the food check up on top, so I think it's a little over 1,000 yards from where the break was. Where they had to go into power. I do not know why the school didn't want to go with their own power from the school to that building. But Tom Saban asked me if he could use the power, put a pole in, put a power to buy a rental property. I said, sure. And so when Kevin scoped it out with his camera, he saw that root nest. So we had called to come, I think it was 8/13. They replaced the pipe from trailer out 20 feet. And they found out when they went across with the power line, they broke the pipe. And they fixed it with a piece of plastic pipe with a coupler, rubber coupling. But I guess they didn't check beyond that because they cracked the pipe after that. I had pictures and everything when we had the work done and everything.
How far after it? How far away from the break is for the cracks?
Probably 8-10 inches after the
inches,
the
okay,
thick.
okay.
If you want to see the picture, I'll give you the picture.
I would like to see it,
Yeah,
actually, yes. Take a look.
So, Nate, from the, you talk about the mobile homes you rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out there,
Where- Does that sewer run toward the school?
yeah,
Oh.
That was the pipe we had to move, remember, it went underneath behind, I think it would be the same, into that same main.
Okay,
and you wanna look at these two, from Kevin Schofield
yeah.
recommendation and everything.
We have not yet received the bill from Oliver. And we were never informed that there was a break in the line. They just repaired, covered up, and we were never told.
Is this break on your property?
Yes,
Yes. So they went, that conduit, electric conduit went right over your sewer line,
yes, it is.
gotcha. It is real close to the trailer, isn't it?
Who put in the electric, I remember doing the sewer line, who put in the electric line?
Tom Saban, I believe. But he's the one that talked to you about using by the end of the trailer, put another pole in for their power. And I don't even know who dug up Trent.
But I guess who paid Saban? Was it the school or was it
Town
us?
of Lincoln, that's.
in the town for the grant.
The town of Lincoln the recreation department received the grant for the community ball field and the snack shack. And it is the responsibility of the recreation department to maintain, I forget how many years it was. And I forgot what year it is that all that expires and everything reverts to the ownership of the school. I don't wanna say the year because I don't know. Got one in my head, but I'm not sure.
I was just wondering how the town got involved, that's, yes, we
recreation
administered our grant.
We administer our grant, correct.
Yeah, for the grant.
It's good, pretty great.
Billy Willie and the John Gould, they're the ones that noticed the other break after their break when they patched it. That was broke, that's where all the roof went in, because the roof will find water.
So this is behind your trailer.
Yeah,
Hey, was, there any tie-in to your existing sewer line of the shack up above? Does that have a sink and facility to drain water?
I imagine that they have a place up there.
And does that run into
And
your,
it's all, no, it's a main sewer from the school,
yeah,
and we're hooked, years ago, we're hooked into the line, because they dropped it down over the bank when they built all that ball field and everything.
okay.
Now, they got a manhole, I think just above the hill, you can see it.
Where, and that's where the, food shack would be tied into,
I believe, yeah,
so it's not tied into anything on your property,
no. The only thing tied on our property is the power line,
the power line.
Yes.
And that appears to be what maybe cracked, maybe, I'm no expert, but maybe cracked the
Yeah.
sewer line.
that's when they dug the hole,
And how many years ago was that?
but they had to do it around 2013, somewhere around there,
You know, 15 years old.
yeah.
Whenever they put the electricity on the ball field.
Cause if we were aware of the break, you know, we would have said, well, it probably got roots in there from the break,
It was prior to 14.
and we
What,
would
the
have had.
electricity?
Because Arnold graduated 2014 in his class to have senior, they did the concessions in there.
Yeah, it's either 13 or 14.
It was
yeah.
prior to, yeah, I don't know exactly when, but I know when he was a senior in 2014, he graduated. We did baseball and soccer, so 13 and 14 concessions in.
So what is the status at this point?
Everything is repaired.
It's fixed,
It's all fixed.
right, we had to call the company, Billy really dug the hole, you know, found that, right. John Gould down and Andy found where they went across the pipe, because they put a red tape on top of the power line going across, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. And so he dug it out and he saw where they patched it. But like I said, beyond that, for 8-10 inches, beyond that, that was cracked. And that's where the roof got in, that's where the big nest was.
How many feet
20
back,
feet
20 feet back from the trail.
from the trailer out 20 feet.
On Schofield bill, he wrote a recommendation. We can see what it
So
says.
that's right on the property line. According to the town's, mapping.
So at this point, you're looking for reimbursement for these, but you don't have called this bill?
Not, he hasn't sent it yet.
I know these aren't exact, but that's right on the property line.
The rental, you mean?
Correct.
Multiple.
Right, this is school, this
Right.
is their house, yeah.
Where does the,
I just went from the back of the trailer to the,
oh, okay.
yeah, the back of the trailer. I'm assuming the main part of the trailer, not the add-on. And it comes to 19 and a half, so literally it's right on the property.
I think that was the same time, Ted Sutton was, I think, town manager then. And he said that he was gonna leave a buffer because of the ball field to cut down on noise and everything. And we come back
On vacation.
and they cut all the trees. And then they planted those, spruce trees,
Right,
and that's what did the problem.
2 times in town that's happened. 2 different places, yeah, that I'm aware of. I'm sure it's happened more. Oh, yeah, we'll leave a buffer. And then
Yeah.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
He knew we were going away on vacation and came back and they're gone.
That's it. Don't ever go on vacation again.
I haven't been.
Well, we didn't know until, we were up at our camper in Landav. And Schofield came down to get us and told us about the backup. So we just packed everything up and came home, so he could go there and fix it and.
Sure.
Cause of the bathroom, they had tile in there, we had tile there and all through the hall,
All up, yeah.
and it soaked it to the grout. And it was all
Smell.
Pops it all
smelly
around.
in them, so I dug it all out and had Mike Belanger lay the floor in. And plus we put plywood on top of that, cause it was kinda,
But we were never notified that this break happened. That's the main thing. We would never have known until we had this backup.
Do you know who dug the original?
It would have, I'm gonna assume it would have been whoever was doing the power. But if they broke a sewer main, they would have had to get a hold of Bill Willie. Bill Willie would have had been the one that fixed it. Because they're not just gonna go fix it. Billy would have had to been involved somehow.
Billy was on the town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, I asked him in the hallway, I said, would you hear, oh no, he said, oh, he probably didn't want to admit it anyway.
Well, you put him in a hole and then you asked him.
just,
I'm joking. It would have been Billy. I mean, we need to do something, however it needs to be done, but we just can't say, oh yeah, do this, we do due diligence, which we let our town manager do the due diligence and come up with a
yeah.
scenario for
I want
us.
to know, but my question is involving the school. I mean, this was a school project.
Nope, absolutely not. This is a town project. The town did this. The school gave the town permission to do it on that school piece of land, knowing that when, I think it's 2054, 2056, maybe when that grant is up and everything reverts back to the ownership of the school. When they signed it, everything over to the town, I have this paperwork at home to it.
But that was for the original ball field.
And concession stand, and now the Lincoln Woodstock Recreation Department owns that until 2050 something. We maintain it, we seed it, we mow it, we clean it, we put a new roof on it, we fix the toilet when it breaks, we do it, town of Lincoln,
I did not know that.
absolutely.
Did you know that? No.
Yeah. And I think it's, don't quote me on the date, but it's.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I have it down that I'll look and
There
see
was so many years that
that we have to own it.
we own
30 years.
We own it.
something,
but it's
And then it
more than that,
reverts, yeah.
but yeah, we own it.
In your opinion,
I think it was
what
60 years.
caused the pipe to break? Was it
When they were digging
when they were digging?
a hole.
It was
because-
cracked for
So
the,
it wasn't letting, it wasn't the fact that there was an excess weight from electrical lines or anything
Oh,
like that?
No.
No. Okay, so it was so who was the digger? Do we know?
Could it be Donahue or Avery? I-
Whoever-
Independent person.
right, whoever the town of Lincoln contracted to put that
And
electric conduit in.
I could tell they did because the pipes were repaired and it was all solid pipe before.
Right.
So they knew they broke it. They
Yeah,
just
That's
didn't-
all.
They
They
thought
fixed
were
it.
going
They
to-
thought they-
Yeah.
They thought they replaced the whole thing, but
Broke it, fixed
6 or 8
it.
inches up, they missed the
Push it
slot.
a little further.
So honest mistake, but a mistake
Oh,
nonetheless.
yeah, the thing that cost us bucks.
Yeah, we haven't seen.
What about their first? Nate, have you contacted your insurance,
No, we
carrier?
did not.
They, when I contacted them once and they said. Anything with roots is Mother Nature, but they don't know that this was broken,
The extent of it.
Gotcha.
but then our insurance would go up.
Well,
Alright.
you know, I mean, just thinking out loud here, you know, if they would pay, with the deductible. Maybe the town could come up with something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. Because there was damage to the interior, of the trailer, correct? And we've got a bill
Because of
here for
backup.
$500 odd for that. And consequently, the associated cost of the scoping it out with the camera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, the committee could do due diligence on the town's end.
Yep.
And then while you get the rest of your bills and things in and get everything together and then have a conversation. I mean, obviously the conversation needs to be had, but
So you want us to contact our insurance company?
Well, again, I'm just saying, is that,
that's your decision to make. We
Yeah.
can't tell you to do that.
No, I'm not going to.
And
Yeah,
I'm not gonna have to have
I
my
don't-
insurance go up on something that we knew nothing about.
I don't
Yeah.
blame you until
Yeah.
until everybody's done all the due diligence and all the bills have come in and everything,
I
then
thought I would have had.
then we
by
go
now,
from there. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Are the other bills, like the Schofield bill and that in that package, this for us?
Yeah.
And the bathroom floor bill in here.
yeah.
Right.
percentages.
The only thing you don't have is fixing the
Call,
Yeah.
you don't have to bill.
You don't have that.
You gave us an estimate.
the scoping and everything is in.
And then all the parts and the sand, that's
Sure.
extra, so we don't know how much
Right.
it is.
Can we
I
make
can-
copies of this?
Sure.
And then when you get that next
We
bill.
need the pictures, just-
We say,
I want pictures.
No,
We don't
no,
need the picture.
We don't need the
Oh,
pictures.
okay, well,
Can I keep these though?
there's one copy here.
Nina, do you have those pictures on your phone?
I don't have a phone.
Can I take this?
Yeah, I have an iPad.
Is that what they're on?
Yeah, if I
I think, can you email the pictures to the town manager? Or not?
I'll try.
we can have one right now. Can you take it all?
Exactly, if you can't, Nina, if you can't do it, bring the iPad in,
Grab something.
Okay.
we can hook it to our internet and then email them to her from your iPad,
Oh, okay,
okay?
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you get the Calder bill, just make sure you bring in a copy for me. as
Yeah,
well.
and bring that in as soon as you get it.
Yes,
And
I
then
will.
Yeah.
Maybe if we said Bill Willie broke the money.
But you want a copy of all of these?
Just email, we don't have to take a photo.
I'll go scan them right now and
Oh,
scan them.
scan them and email them to yourself. Okay,
See,
okay, perfect.
that works. It's a lot, okay.
And she'll get those back. And thank you for coming in and
Yes, thanks for bringing that to our attention, that's.
do some.
I
investigation.
suggest something, no, but other than, you know, it's not, due to this, it's about the crosswalk. Do you think the police department could, monitor crosswalk, cause I see little kids. And, grown up people too, the lights flashing, they're trying to cross and the cars are still going through,
Hmm.
you know, and I hate to
One will stop, but the other one won't.
go around them.
See that, I don't disagree, and it's happened to me before, on
Scary.
Main Street. I think there's a combination of things, when it's dark, when it's rainy, when it's yucky, you don't see those dark crosswalks, you just don't. And most people don't know what those lights are, there's
Right,
no
you
other
don't
place in
ever
the country
push
that has them.
Yeah,
The state of New Hampshire made us get them to have crosswalks, and I never see them, ever, anywhere. I don't think I've ever seen them anywhere but here,
You can't try that in Littleton.
no,
the one in Plymouth, the lights are flashing constantly. They don't ever
yeah.
stop.
But they also have those white hash mark crosswalks in
Yes.
Plymouth.
Yeah.
Which are just more visible to me.
Yeah.
I love the green ones. I love them and I love it when with across the streets where they have the crest, the town
Yeah.
seal, I should say, on
Town
them.
seal, yeah.
I love it and it's pretty and it's,
But they're slippery, I'm gonna tell you that.
they are
They
slippery.
are, cause I almost went.
Well, the white ones are too, though, the ones with the hash marks, because I've got a
Oh.
couple of them when they're wet and they're
If you have
slippery too.
Crocs- If you have Crocs, which I
Yeah.
have to wear all the
No,
time.
they're all slippery. All the paint is slippery. It doesn't matter what color it is, it's
I
slippery.
walk on the outside of it.
But those white hash marks, I mean, all across the country, that's what they have and that's recognizable. People
Right,
see
right.
that and they stop. That green strip, people don't know what it is.
No,
But they used to put the barrels out, remember that, walk ahead,
And
State won't
the
let you
state
do
won't let us do that anymore.
really?
Really, really.
uh,
I think we need to go on Main Street, not the ones at the heads of all the back roads. I love the green, then they have this house seal, but the ones on Main Street, I think need to be those white hash marks to be safer. I would love to see that changed. Even if we try it next year, next summer, when we do the painting, try it, see if it helps. And if not, go back to the green. But we need to do something.
so many people come out that road. That's, come in, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
One way.
They-
That's something, we had talked to Paul Bartlett about replacing his. Entrance only or something, do not enter, entrance only. And he said no, flat out,
All you-
no, there's something there, it's enough, I'm not doing it. Is that? The fact that that's an entrance only and he has to mark it as such, I wonder if it's in his site plan approval when that was built. Was it built prior to planning board?
That was built, you would know,
Oh, well, it was
mid-80s.
83, Lavertier's was there in 1983.
A set of spikes, you can drive in, they lay down, they try to drive.
Yeah, right, that's,
Stanley was struggling.
we didn't start zoning,
Yeah,
planning
things like
zoning
that
was
was-
85 and
Yeah,
6.
So there was that.
So, yeah,
So can the town put up a sign there? Can we contact Paul Bartlett and say, look, can the town pay for the sign and put it up, please? That's coming out of where the Citizens Bank is. It's an entrance only right there by the drive-through.
yeah.
And cars are constantly going out because the one side that's there is so faded and gross
And
that
it's
you
not
can't tell.
that, the branches.
Exactly, you can't tell what it
Can't
says. Can you contact him and ask him if the town of Lincoln can put up an entrance only? Don't go this way or we'll throw something at you.
No exit.
Yeah, no exit.
With a solar panel, that flash the lights at exit.
Yeah, anything.
Not no exit.
But I would be all for putting a, entrance only, no exit sign up.
I can try.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, and
Totally
get
agree.
back in touch with the final.
So we got you, Carl will come on, give you a copy then.
Perfect.
Just give it to
To
you.
Korea,
Okay,
come right in and give it to one of the girls, yeah.
okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you for coming in. Okay, that was part of your.
That was the last thing I had.
That was,
Yes,
okay. Cool. I had a couple of things. First of all, I talked about the planning board, short-term rental discussion. The second thing from the planning board meeting is that South Peak is gonna come into the planning board and discuss their updated master plan. And the Board of Selectmen was invited to the meeting the last time that they did that. And the board is invited to the next meeting when they do that. It's been tentatively scheduled for that second meeting in September, but we've not received word that the attorney can be at that meeting or be on Zoom for that meeting.
I have invited him. I just know he just got back from Scotland on Sunday. He was in court all day today, so I should hear back from him within the next day. So
Right, so assuming he says yes, second Wednesday.
the 27th.
Oh,
Yeah, the last Wednesday.
Last
Oh,
one.
gotcha.
It's the second meeting in
oh, gotcha.
September.
Mhm.
But I'm not officially inviting you because we haven't got word that Jason is gonna be there, and that is the date yet, but that's
Let us
the tentative date.
So will that be a joint select board, planning board meeting, or just a planning board meeting that the selectmen are attending?
Well, I actually think that Jason was invited to the 13th, because didn't the planning board want him to come to the meeting prior to the master plan discussion? Is what I think was communicated,
You're correct.
okay, so I invited Jason to come to have a non-meeting with the planning board on the 13th. The South Peak scheduled to come in the following meeting on the 27th.
That's correct.
So when should, or do they want?
27.
The 27th, it doesn't change.
Be a non-public with just the planning
Okay, gotcha, thanks.
and their attorney,
Okay,
so.
At
So-
6 o'clock.
Jason won't be at the second meeting.
And
He may.
He may,
Depends on
but-
what comes with the first.
Gotcha,
I would expect that he would be, actually.
okay,
I think
think
that's
the
where it's
town-
gonna go down. Yeah.
The
we're-
town would want him there.
awesome,
So-
okay.
So, and that was the only other thing I had.
The other thing I had was that I spoke with the school board about the bench for Dr. Felgate.
Yep.
And they would prefer it not to be something planted in the ground. That if we wanna plant a post to chain it to or something, secure it so it doesn't walk away, that would be great, because they don't know what the future holds for that building.
We talked
And they don't wanna have to dig up a beautiful bench that's been
concrete.
concreted in. And I see nothing wrong. with
Makes sense, yeah,
Okay, but we can put it on their property.
Yes,
great.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to look at some benches?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my lot.
nope, the bench is gonna be the plaque. Right on the bench itself.
Engraved into like.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
when Jane gets back over with her, she's been doing a little digging too, so yeah, we'll keep that ball rolling.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good, thank you for handling that. Jeff, do you have anything?
Speaking of benches.
Yes, sorry.
Another bench for the Spur Road and all it. It's here, but we're waiting for somebody to assemble it. Is that correct?
I will check on that in the morning. Last I heard it was
Yeah.
here, needed to be assembled. There's a spot chosen that got mowed out. It just hasn't gotten placed yet.
I think she's, yeah, I think it's here, but I don't think they just have had the chance to
Right,
put it
Put
in
it
there.
together.
Yeah.
but I'll double check.
Secondly, the electric gate on West
West.
Street, what's going on with that?
Still waiting on the co-op to hook up that power.
Well, the co-op's really not our friend these days. Unfortunately, I think they were waiting, the co-op was contracting with Mike Harrington to do the work. Because it's not, it's the co-op's lines. The co-op had to get an easement from the property owners to install it on that piece of parcel. I believe the co-op was contracting themselves with Mike Harrington to do the work. I don't know where it stands now. That's the last I heard.
No, because played golf with a resident there, Mr. James Michael Kahn today, and he said that one of the town employees was over pulling, cutting weeds down and that had grown up substantially there. And it looked like Mike Harrington had taken a visit, so.
Oh, okay, so maybe that,
Well,
I know
yeah.
that Mike's kind of back at things. He was here a little
Yeah,
bit last
surgery,
week doing
yeah.
some certain
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
so he may have already. You know.
Speaking of which, the AED outside the building
yeah.
there is accessible and ready to go and wired in and looks great, and I love seeing that. And if there's an issue, you just dial 911 and they send a code or give you a code to unlock it and get into it. And
Yeah, yes, the only snafu we did have with that is that the original plan was to take the AED from the lobby and put it into the new box. When they went to go do that, the AED we have in the lobby is soon to expire. So there was no point in putting a soon to expire AED in that box, so I purchased, or the town purchased a new AED out of our emergency management budget.
Fantastic, would have
To
had to be done anyway.
would have had to be done,
Yep.
so to put into the new box, so the new box
Yeah.
is ready to go, we're gonna have to put in next year's budget one for the hallway. Cause that one's gonna go soon.
Right,
And
It relatively,
do we need to?
I think that's a question to be, to be discussed.
How much is an AED?
We got the town got a municipal price, Sean Woods downstairs got us a good price on one, it was 1686, 1700.
I
So do-
mean,
yeah.
those two AEDs are less than 50 feet apart.
That was
Right.
my thought, but I got a little pushback on why do we need to?
Yeah, why do we need to? It's right outside the door.
That was,
I mean-
my thought as well.
You can see if you're outside, you can't get in to get it, but if you're inside, you're gonna be able to get outside to get the darn thing. I mean. Unless you're the one having.
Like I said, no, that was my thought process as well.
They
but-
also have one downstairs, not outside, but inside. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't,
They'll be leaving, so.
Again, right now, it's still up and running, it's not expired yet, I don't think there's any need to do anything at the
Yeah.
moment, and I think when we get into budget discussions, if it's even worth.
I don't see the need to have one inside if we have
Yeah.
one right outside the door.
I
However,
agree.
when the PD does leave to their new building, and if we do occupy the space downstairs, then maybe
We'll
put
keep
one
the one
down there.
downstairs, yeah, makes
Mhm.
sense, yep. Okay,
Lastly, Nate was doing some major work up on the lower portion of Black Mountain Road, again involved a co-op.
Mhm.
But it involved some piping that had failed on a town portion of the road.
Mhm.
Do you know where we stand? I was asked by one of the homeowners up there.
I don't,
Maybe I'll call Nate to
yeah,
Yeah.
get it.
I don't know, I know that he was working up there,
Yeah.
doing some stuff, I know the co-ops contractors were up there doing some stuff as well. But I don't know exactly where it was at.
Last I knew, we was waiting for the co-op to move some of their infrastructure so that he could. get
Right,
the
and they
culvert in.
subbed out.
Yeah,
that
they
work
and
to
they
a-
were up
to a
there.
utility. I know they started. it. I
Oh,
don't
they
know-
definitely did, I mean,
I know they
we,
started.
It's going gung ho up there for a while.
it was, and I think,
Six.
yeah, I think we got some weather and it maybe installed things, I don't know where it is now. But they definitely were there, and the co-op's contractors were there, because Nate was working side by side with them to
Sure.
figure it out.
How are we making out down at the sewer treatment plant with the new installation?
Good, I think, so they, I,
Crappy job.
it's, yeah.
Not even kidding, though.
I think it's good. I think it's coming quite along. It's not completed, obviously.
Sure.
We have some electrical work that needs to be completed, again.
But we're getting there.
But we're getting there, yes.
So we need electricians.
We need electricians in town.
Well, we've got, I know one of last year's graduates is going to electrician school, so that's good. then.
Well, they wouldn't, they would have plenty of jobs. in this
Yes.
Community.
Good.
And they could buy a piece of land in the business park.
Yeah, they
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. I did have one other thing.
Sure.
We had previously talked about the extending a sidewalk from Main Street up to Luann Lane.
Okay,
Oh, yes, in between Tom's and Meg's old place.
Right. I didn't know if that had made it to Nate's list, and I also didn't know if we needed to do any survey work, because although it shows on the tax map, and I know that we own a piece there, if you asked me to tell you where it was, I'd give you
I
a
can
broad
tell you
idea,
right now.
but.
is this when Miles came in? Is this what?
Yeah,
I'm trying to,
Was it Miles that talked to us?
I think it was,
I
yeah.
think I'm trying to remember when we had this
It
conversation.
was Miles.
It was
yeah.
Miles.
Yeah,
Okay, extending sidewalk from,
yeah.
It's right here.
In between Tom
From
Trump,
Tom Tremblay's,
Yeah.
and it's now the account, used to be Meg Hass's place.
right, but not, yeah, now it's,
Yes,
oh God.
the accountant's there. They used to be
Ron
down
DeRubo.
DeRubo. Yeah.
Malone DeRubo.
Thank you.
Okay, it's in between those two parcels. The town has a.
Right there.
We own the
We
land,
own that.
and I don't know how wide it is, but it's,
We can find
it's
out
not a,
what this is.
it's not a, full width road, because Luann Lane is full width, and then it narrows down, but. I mean,
well, and we're changing Luann Lane, so we've also been working with
16
Miles
feet,
and
17 feet.
to
right there.
reclassify that, because
So,
you can't drive through it, you can't drive all the way from.
no,
No,
and we
so
wouldn't want to anyway.
Right.
It's supposed to be just a walking path.
just a walking path, correct?
Right.
Right, okay. I, to be honest, that fell off the radar, so
Okay.
I'll talk to Nate about it. All
Put
right.
it on the back of your thing there.
And again, I know Nate has been like out straight
straight,
with
yeah.
with a shortened crew. But if we at least talk to him, like, do we need a surveyor to go out and tell him where the boundaries are? Because last thing we wanna do is put in a sidewalk. that
Yeah, no, we wanna
finally
make sure,
closes
right,
One side or the other.
okay.
Um,
And what our
There's
easement is there, or what our,
it's not an easement.
It's not-
own it.
we own
It's-
it.
it's
There's
just-
well, there, I think.
I think there is too, I thought that's what Miles had said,
Yes.
is that it's asphalt and it's all grown in, yeah,
Then
Pretty sure there is.
if it's that obvious, then,
maybe we, okay,
and again, it doesn't have to get done this year.
Right.
But if he can look at it and
Like a plan.
figure out
Yeah.
what we can do next spring.
yep, no, that makes
What
sense.
do we need to have in place and whatnot, yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else, public participation. Yes, sir.
Hi, Dave Barrowby from Bunker Lane. I was here for the Rapids discussion, which didn't occur, but listening to the whole meeting, brought up some other thoughts. Last week I came to Town Hall to request some documents from Planning Board from the South Peak update to the master plan. And was informed that the file size was too great to email. And that I should bring in an unopened USB to be able to download the documents so I can get a hold of them. And I have no issue with doing that, but I was thinking, while listening to the meeting, is there another way that the public could get access to some important documentation, such as posting them onto the website? There's plenty of documentation that's out there, a lot of it's old and outdated. So if there's room that needs to be made to bring new important documentation out there, is there a way that the public can get access to it without having to A, pay for copies on a photocopier, or B, buying a USB, which there are a dime a dozen, I don't have an issue doing that. But it seems to me that there's, in this technological age, it's probably a better way to do it. And I was wondering if you could consider some other way rather than requiring a resident to bring in a flash drive to be able to get access to the documentation.
When was the last master plan done?
Yeah, he's talking about this master plan for South Peak.
He's talking about
Town master
okay.
plan.
Yeah, the one that was
The
done
town master plan is accessible on the website. No,
Right.
that's,
in the
Okay.
June 28th meeting.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Is that too big to be put up in Dropbox?
It's big.
it's huge, yeah, like I spoke with him on Friday. We had trouble getting into it ourselves, and they had to bring us a thumb drive with it on it, so we do periodically, I won't say religiously or, consistently, but we do try if something comes on to put a PDF version on the website or something along those lines. I don't know if, I mean, I don't know if we wanna put a link to the documents on the website, I mean, that seems, I don't know.
Do you think that it would be worth David's, chance to call, Bogosian or, Derek Lick to ask for a paper copy?
Well, I mean, as a public citizen, I think he can do whatever he wants, but whether or not. I don't think we should be.
Okay.
If he has the town link for a paper copy, we have to
Yeah,
provide
oh,
it.
Right,
So he doesn't have to ask anybody but who he did ask.
right. Well, and I thought at one point that when he came in on Friday, I thought we had a link that we could just email him the link to it, but then when I spoke with Carol this morning, it's not, she had it have it on a
Yeah.
thumb drive.
Right, right.
Um, And I'm sure he doesn't wanna pay, I mean, I wouldn't wanna pay for, the
The
hundreds,
paper, yeah,
yeah,
no, it's,
so. I mean, it's definitely
It's
some,
not a big deal.
Right, yeah.
But it's.
I understand your concern.
updated
yeah,
Constantly going forward.
Right.
It would seem like there should be a better process to maybe make that information public. So,
To be honest, as long as I've been on the planning board, we've never had a file that was not emailable.
right,
I mean, that's how everything on planning board in 10 years have been
Right.
by email.
Right.
Until that one.
until that one.
until that one, yeah. It's the anomaly.
It's, yeah,
I'll bring in the thumb drive. That's my suggestion. Think of a different.
We appreciate it, we'll take it into
Absolutely.
consideration.
David, you're being adaptive. Dave's one of our adaptive coaches. Thank you.
but so you heard that master plan discussion is tentatively scheduled for that last Wednesday in September.
I'll be back for that.
And like he said, he lives as an abutter to the rapids
Right, on the bunker one.
on the bunker line,
Gotcha.
so, you know, that's board.
Wayne, did you have anything?
Good to see you here again. Wayne.
Yes, thanks for coming. Mary, Con, or Dave, whoever's on the other end of that.
All right,
If there's none, do we have any update? I know that the hearing was today, but we haven't heard.
I haven't heard back. It was just trial management today.
Right.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Trial management was today, and then Friday is, the motion to reconsider,
mhm,
and then next Tuesday is jury
Jury
selection.
I cannot go to that. You were gonna
I
go?
can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I definitely cannot go.
I plan to be in attendance on Friday and next Tuesday, so
Okay,
there will
do
be.
you need company on Friday?
No, I think I'll be okay.
Okay,
that's just, we said it's a trial management conference?
Trial
No, that's the
management-
hearing, sorry, that's just the hearing.
The
Motion to
the motion to reconsider is on Friday, jury selection's Tuesday.
Okay.
Like I said, I got it on my calendar to do both, so.
I love listening to Jason Court. That's like a lot.
Yeah,
That's
he is
just
very good.
fantastic, isn't he? Yeah.
He's very good.
I can give you a very brief, non-public on a personnel item.
Okay,
But I gotta leave it so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go.
No, quick things. I'm gonna make a motion.
Oh, yes.
Hurry up.
That the Board of Selectmen hereby certify that at a meeting held on August 28th, 2023, the Lincoln Board of Selectmen voted to apply to submit an amendment request to extend a certain American Rescue Plan Act Fund, ARPA, grant agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to fund a wastewater improvement project as approved by the Governor and Council on May 4th, 2022. The town of Lincoln further to authorize Karina Park, town manager, to execute any documents which may be necessary to effectuate this grant agreement. Is there a second to that motion?
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
No, and that's just to formalize the amendment request we put in.
We
at the last
requested it and got it and all of that. It's just an extension. Can you let Jane Leslie know that I swear that that's my
Chicken scratch.
signature? You can notarize
You
it.
can watch it on the video.
All right, the sewer use ordinance that we approved last week just needs to be signed.
Okay,
And that is the FEMA floodplain stuff. It's more just for information. We're having a meeting this Wednesday with Ray Corber to go over it and make recommendations to FEMA, but it's essentially they're reallocating some of the parcels along our flood zone, and we have 30 days to respond to it.
this was
So-
amended. We did this on the 14th, right? The last meeting.
You did that on the 14th.
Wait, on the sewer ordinance?
Yes.
Amended by
Yes.
the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so this doesn't need any action. This is.
That doesn't need any
information,
action. That's
And
just,
you're gonna meet with the town engineer.
yes.
Thank you.
I think that was it. Oh, there was one correspondence thing we got about keeping the sidewalks. cleaner.
Oh, I've already spoken to Nate about that, and Nate's gonna reach out to the homeowner to address the overground bushes.
There was a complaint form related to the town clerk's office not being open every day. And the ProLuck meeting I'm going to tomorrow night. Either
Did you
for-
see you had a change of venue, right?
I saw that they can't use the library and we're looking for one, but I've not looked at my emails since then. so,
At the whole village center rooms.
Okay. I will be going
Nine.
wherever it is. I'll make a motion to go to non-public for an employee.
For second,
Yep. Update. Second,
mhm,
all
second,
those in favor?
aye,
aye.
Gentlemen, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
thank you for all you do.